She left us like we were yesterday's trash. Ethan Carter, calloused hands gripping a wailing newborn, watched Sophia's taillights vanish into the neon blur of Los Angeles, chasing dreams of fame sharper than a razor's edge. 13 years later, she's back glossy, desperate, and clawing for a second chance. Ethan wasn't ready for fatherhood at 25, a mechanic with grease-stained dreams. He was still figuring out how to keep his old Chevy running, let alone raise a daughter alone. But when Sophia, his wife of 3 years, packed her bags and swapped their cramped apartment for a shot at being an influencer, Ethan's world imploded. She didn't just leave him, she left Lily, their 6-month-old daughter, without so much as a backward glance. Ethan stood in the doorway, Lily's cries piercing the night, his heart a tangle of betrayal and resolve. He swore he'd never let anyone hurt his little girl again. The years that followed were a grind. Ethan traded late-night beers for early morning diaper changes, then school runs, then teenage tantrums. He worked double shifts at the garage, fixing cars until his hands bled, just to keep Lily fed and clothed. She grew up tough, with her father's stubborn jaw and a spark in her green eyes that reminded Ethan of the woman who'd abandoned them. Lily wasn't just his daughter, she was his reason to keep going. They built a life in their small, weathered house on the edge of town, a life of pizza nights, bad dad jokes, and unspoken trust. Ethan wasn't perfect, but he was there, always. Sophia, meanwhile, became Sparkle Sophia online. Her Instagram exploded with filtered selfies, sponsored posts, and a curated life of luxury. She partied in Miami, posed in Paris, and racked up millions of followers who worshipped her every move. The world saw a queen, Ethan saw a stranger. He never followed her, but Lily did, secretly, her teenage curiosity drawn to the mother who'd become a digital ghost. Ethan caught her once, staring at Sophia's latest post, a yacht, a champagne flute, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "She's not real, kid," he said, ruffling Lily's hair. Lily just nodded, but the hurt in her silence cut deeper than any argument. 13 years after that fateful night, a knock on Ethan's door shattered their quiet life. He opened it to find Sophia, no longer the radiant influencer, but a woman worn thin by time and bad choices. Her makeup couldn't hide the shadows under her eyes, and her voice trembled as she said, "I want to see my daughter." Ethan's blood ran cold. He wanted to slam the door, to scream, to unleash the rage he'd buried for over a decade. But Lily was behind him, watching, her face a storm of confusion and longing. "Why now?" Ethan demanded, his voice low, dangerous. Sophia's story spilled out in fragments. The fame had faded, the sponsors had dried up, and a public scandal, some blurry video of a drunken rant, had tanked her career. She was broke, alone, and, she claimed, remorseful. "I made a mistake," she whispered, tears streaking her face. "I want to make it right." Ethan didn't buy it. He'd seen her kind of right before, selfish, fleeting, and always at someone else's expense. Lily, now 13, wasn't the baby Sophia had left. She was a firecracker, sharp-witted and fiercely loyal to her dad. But she was also a kid who'd grown up with a hole in her heart, wondering why her mother hadn't wanted her. When Sophia showed up, Lily's emotions collided: anger, curiosity, and a fragile hope she barely admitted to herself. "You don't get to just waltz back in," Lily snapped, her voice cracking. But late at night, Ethan caught her scrolling through old photos of Sophia, her face a mix of resentment and yearning. The weeks that followed were a battlefield. Sophia pushed to reconnect, showing up with gifts, designer clothes, a shiny phone, things Ethan could never afford. Lily wavered, drawn to the glamour but suspicious of the woman behind it. Ethan watched, torn between protecting his daughter and letting her make her own choices. He hated how Sophia's presence stirred up old wounds, how her laugh still twisted something in his chest. He hated even more that Lily might need her, even if just to understand why she'd been left behind. Tensions boiled over at a community fair, where Sophia, uninvited, appeared to surprise Lily. The crowd buzzed, recognizing the fallen influencer, snapping photos as if she were still a star. Lily, humiliated, ran off, leaving Ethan and Sophia in a shouting match that drew every eye. "You don't get to play mom now," Ethan roared, his voice raw. "You chose your followers over her," Sophia fired back. "You think I wanted this? I was young. Ethan, I was scared." Their words hung heavy, exposing the truth they'd both been broken by her choice, but neither knew how to fix it. Lily, hiding behind the fair's dunk tank, overheard everything. She saw her father's pain, her mother's regret, and for the first time, she understood they were both human flawed, hurting, and trying to do better. She stepped out, tears streaming, and said, "I don't need you to be perfect. I just need you to be honest." The words hit like a thunderclap. Sophia broke down, admitting she'd come back not just for Lily, but to escape her own failures. Ethan, his anger softening, saw the woman he'd once loved, not the influencer she'd become. The path forward wasn't easy. Sophia didn't move in or become the mom Lily had dreamed of. Instead, they started small, awkward coffee meetups, halting conversations, and moments of raw honesty. Ethan learned to let go, not of his protectiveness, but of his bitterness. Lily learned to forgive, not fully, but enough to heal. Sophia learned that love wasn't a post you could delete and repost. It was messy, patient, and worth fighting for. By the end, they weren't a family again, not in the old way, but they were something new, a fragile, hopeful tangle of people trying to rebuild. Ethan watched Lily laugh with Sophia one afternoon, a real laugh, and felt a weight lift he hadn't known he carried. Life wasn't a fairy tale, but it was theirs, and that was enough. What would you do if someone who hurt you came back asking for forgiveness? Is it ever too late to make amends, or are some wounds too deep? Share your thoughts on justice, family, and second chances.